Hi, welcome. Yesterday we ended our business analytics class when we created our frequency distribution chart. We first used the pivot table. Then we went and used formulas to create that. But today we're going to create charts. This is to help in our data visualization. So now, what we want to do is just to you first click in the data that you want to create a chart, then you go to insert. Under insert, you go to the chart area. Now, under chart area, you've got several charts that you can be able to use here. Okay, so what we'll do is that I'll show you some of the most important ones. So we've got here the histograms that you can be able to use. You've got the bar charts, then you can also use the pie charts. Okay, but research has shown that mostly people understand data when you use the histograms better than when you use the pie charts. Okay, so we'll go with the histogram. Now if you look at this, immediately I hover over, you see that it is previewing my chart, and if you check out my chart, it is also picking the other column of which I don't want. So what I'll do is that I'll come and highlight the columns that I want to be picked. So in this case, I'm interested in the website and the count of websites. All right, then I'll go back to my charts. Then now I can pick. Okay, so after picking, you'll see that this is the default arrangement of your chart, but Excel gives you freedom to change a number of things here. So if you look at this, the website names are too long. These are quite long, so you can be able to change this by going to change type. Then let's use bar. Okay, bar charts have got a better presentation. Okay, there it goes. It looks more smart now. Then one of the things that you might want to change here is that you might want to remove these grid lines. All right, you can click on that and then you can go and say no lines. Okay, then we can also try to say we want it to have some we would want to have some bar charts. So in this case, we can say add data label. So we can say add data label, so we can have the numbers there. Then for the data below here, if you don't want the x-axis, you can be able to delete it. Then what else? You can do a number of things. You can change the type of fill. You can have the solid fill, different. So I'll leave it on automatic. I think I like this better, this color. I can come and change the color. I can say go for solid fill. I can select the type of color that I want. I can change just like that. Okay, so you've got a lot of things that you can be able to do in this, but this is the basic of it. We can reduce it and we can move it around. Okay, this can be closed. So let's move our chart a little bit. Okay, so we have created our chart out of the data that we had here, so we can be able to easily see how the data is. And if we want, we can rename this. We can come here, highlight this, then give it a different name depending on what you want to do. All right, let's move on. Let's go to another. So right now we want to create another chart. Now this chart that we want to create, it's going to be based on the frequency, based on the time. So we want to find out at what time of day is there a lot of transactions, or what is the transaction distribution along the day. Okay, so we'll use time distribution here. So it doesn't matter which day it is, but we want to see on what periods of day is there highest transaction, lowest transactions. So we'll start out this by building a pivot table. Okay, we'll build a pivot table here. We'll go to insert, or you can just say Alt NV, then quickly the pivot table will pop up as long as you have clicked in the data set that you're dealing with. So now we want it on a new worksheet. We're dealing with quite a number of rows of data here. So now what do we want to do? We want to pick up our time, okay, our date and time. So this is our date and time. So already right now Excel is kind to us because it has already shifted it into date and time, but there are moments that it won't be this kind. You would have to go in and manually change it. So you just right click, then you go and say group. Under group here you have seconds, minutes, days, months, depending on the data which is there. So right now I can remove, I can say day, remove hour, and pick whatever. For some of you, you'll find that the default, by default, it will highlight months and quarter, or probably years, or the 4, except probably the date. Okay, it can highlight all the 3. So in this case we are only interested with the hours. So let's remove and pick only hours, then say okay. Then the next thing that we want is to find how is the frequency. Now when we're dealing with the frequency here, any of these columns that you will pick here, it will give you the same results because we're just counting the number of occurrences. Okay, so if we pick the same one, date and time, it will still give us the same answer. If I take this back and then probably pick type, we'll still get the same answer. Okay, so right now we have our data here on our label. If you remember, I would go to data analysis, then I could go to layout, then say show by that, but here it's showing date and time, but I'm not interested in date and time. I want it to show this data by saying hourly transaction. Okay, okay, so we can go ahead and create our chart. So to create our chart, we'll go to insert, then we'll say let's insert the chart that we would want. So here we have already a suggested chart. So in this chart, what we want is to have a better visualization of this data. So let's try to enlarge it a bit for easier viewing. Okay, so if you'll be able to look at this chart, you'll be able to see that these transactions, as they happen, there are some, you would see that there are some serious variations in the times of day when these transactions are happening. So let's first click on the data bars. Let's enforce the add some data labels here. Come on. All right, data labels. Okay, so we have our data labels, but they look a little bit crowded. So what we'll do is that let's click on one of these data labels and let's change the arrangement of the data. So let's go to format data labels. Under format data labels, let's close for the one for the pivot. Let's go to alignment. Do we have alignment here? Alignment. Then we go to text and direction. Let's go to that one. Okay, so we see that our data has been realigned. Let's see if we can be able to increase the gap size. Let's see if we can reduce it rather. Okay, we're trying to reduce the gap size. Okay, let's try to leave a little bit of a gap. Okay, we've increased the gap size. Then let's see, let's add some solid fill. Okay, then and you can change the colors as you'd like. You can change the colors as you'd like there, but just pick the color that you'd prefer more. Okay, let's do some varying of colors. Okay, so if we vary some colors, we'll see that okay, there's a variation of some colors here. Then we don't want this, just to reduce on the crowdiness. Click on it, then delete it. Then because we have enforced the data bars, we can delete this y-axis also, just to have a better outline. Then we can also remove the grid lines. Then we can drag the title a little bit upwards. Then we can give a meaningful title to this. So we can call it hourly transactions. Okay, you can select whatever title you'd want to give to your data at a particular point. Then if it's not aligned, you can just try to align it. Okay, so now this is our chart that we've been able to create, and you've done a bit of customization. Okay, so today we'll end here. Tomorrow we'll continue with our business analytics class, and if you've got any question, please feel free to ask. All right.